The Lord of Darkness, Part 2, Chapter 11, Moses. In 1446 BC, Egypt was struck by a series of plagues, which happened a little less deliberately than you've been led to believe. Could God have altered the climate and seismic activities to cause the plagues? Of course! Do I think they secretly used convoluted measures to punish one of the many slave-having societies that existed at the time? Not really, no. But I haven't asked. That said, of course we all disapprove of slavery, along with the countless other atrocities you humans have committed. For a while, Egypt was blessed with rainfall. Of course, Egypt was a desert, and so the rainy climate dried up after a few decades. This, in turn, dried up the Nile, which allowed the burgundy blood algae to multiply at an overwhelming rate in the now slow-moving water. Quick to reproduce, quick to die, and when the algae died, it stained the water red. Hence the first plague, water turning to blood. Also, the fish suffocated because of all the algae, but no one focuses on that part. As you can probably imagine, this sort of environment is a stressful one to grow up in, and for a frog, stress means a shorter childhood. The tadpoles immersed in the toxic algae grew up quickly and started their own exodus from the murky waters of Egypt. Plague number 2. Plagues 3 and 4. The frogs died as they reached the end of their piteously short lifespans. Since so many of them reached adulthood simultaneously, there were a lot more dead frogs and a lot fewer living frogs than usual. Mosquitoes, flies, lice, and other insects flourished with the decreased frog population, and the frog carcasses drew other wild animals to the area. Which naturally leads us to plagues 5 and 6, diseased livestock and boils. Insects carry disease, livestock and humans were infected with those diseases. This one doesn't seem to warrant much explanation. And now we come to Thera, the most explosive mountain humans have experienced. It erupted on the islands of Santorini, ejecting billions of tons of ash into the sky. Volcanic ash caused major atmospheric disruption. The extreme temperature variance caused hailstorms, and the fiery ash itself rained down alongside it. Hence the 7th plague, thunderstorm of hail and fire. The weather anomalies caused by the ash didn't stop there. They also included rainfall and humidity, which is a bit ironic since the first plague was caused by drought. The humidity attracted the locusts of plague number 8. As you may have noticed, light doesn't do much traveling through opaque objects, so the billions of tons of black ash filling the air blocked most of the light. This was labeled as the plague of darkness. While all this chaos was flailing about, some enterprising fungus took the opportunity to reproduce all over the grain stores in each Egyptian household. And here's where patriarchy came into play. The Egyptians ate in a specific order. First, the man of the household would eat, followed by his oldest son, and so forth from oldest to youngest male. Then the women would eat from oldest to youngest. Since the fungus only lived on the top of the grain barrel, only the first two ate much of it. Adults had strong enough immune systems to get no worse than stomach aches, but the firstborn sons who ate next tended to be too young to fight off the disease, and their deaths were labeled as the 10th plague. The Israelites took this opportunity to flee their captivity. Now, if we'd actually been orchestrating all this, I would have instructed Moses to sneak out the slaves gradually throughout the plagues so everyone would assume they were dying off too. I also wouldn't have let everyone get lost in the desert for 4 decades. But Moses and his followers believed God was orchestrating it because, in addition to being faithful and desperate for hope, Moses had acquired a celestial portal guard's staff. One of the portal guards, I think his name was Victor or maybe Byron, got bored and started twirling his staff around, and he accidentally dropped it through the portal. He was sent to Nick to be disciplined. Afterwards, he didn't go back to work as a portal guard, but he did pick up some other angelic duties before quitting to learn how to salsa dance in zero gravity. Moses found the staff on the ground. The portal staff only had one power, restraining crowds. It could form impenetrable barriers that pushed people and objects at the bearer's will, without harming anyone. Because, given the technology, why wouldn't we make our crowd control tools unweaponizable? Being slaves, the Israelites had some experience with traversing the nearby swampland known as the Reed Sea. Being Jewish, they spoke Hebrew, which is a vowel-optional language. So later, humans mistranslated the story into a much more epic tale of parting the Red Sea, although, ironically, the staff was entirely capable of parting the Red Sea. It took the Egyptians a little while to realize what was going on, and when they tried to follow, their chariots got stuck in the mud. They could have gotten out and chased the Israelites on foot, but ash and lava were still raining down from the sky. Some of the lava hit the swamp gas, shooting a pillar of fire into the air. It was beautiful. To the Egyptians, it was terrifying. Moses used his staff to form a barrier between the Egyptians and the Israelites, allowing the latter to escape. Moses was a good man and a great man, but he was not talented at message delivery. You can tell something's amiss if you read Exodus closely, because the rules that made it there are decidedly contradictory. For example, God tells him not to kill anyone, then spends several pages listing out all the crimes for which people should be killed. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I spent several days atop Mount Sinai trying to explain basic principles. Ultimately, I had to write it down for Moses on some stone slabs. When he returned to his people and saw they were worshiping a golden calf, he lost his temper and broke the slabs. He carved the rules into some different stone tablets, and he took a few liberties, even after I specifically told him not to get hung up on specifics, since details change across cultures and time. Here are the 7 rules I actually wrote down for Moses. 1. Trust God. 2. Do not use God as an excuse to commit evil. 3. Respect each other. 4. Do not kill people. 5. Do not make an agreement, then break the terms of that agreement. 6. Do not steal. 7. Do not make false accusations.